Welcome everyone. Bonjour à Paris. I would like to welcome to today's session. So we are going to have an expert learning session, empowering decarbonization and energy efficiency. And I am very pleased to have you today. I will be moderating this session. I am Zehra Ozmen, leading Power and Grid Communications at Schneider Electric. So today we are going to discuss very interesting projects that companies have today. And what you're going to hear from us is actually how we help large organizations in their sustainability path, and also how large organizations are increasingly prioritizing real-time management of their operational resources, such as gas, electricity, water. So you will hear from us a lot of things around this topic. And I'm very pleased to have Frederic Godemel with me today on the stage. He is Executive Vice President, Power Systems and Services at Schneider Electric. Welcome, Fred. And also Vincent Charpiot, who is Executive Vice President, Head of Group Sustainability Business Accelerator at Capgemini. So we're going to discuss today in three parts. So we will be talking about what are we solving, so what are the problems that we have in the challenges today, and also second part we will be deep diving how would it be the solutions, how we are doing this in the energy landscape, and at the end we will be telling you here why it's important to have this partnership between the Capgemini and Schneider Electric, and also what is important for you. So I highly recommend you to stay until the end to hear moreover. Okay, so without ado, I would like to start with the part one. And part one, we will discuss what are we solving, what are the challenges. So we know that energy transition is very important. And nowadays in the industry, we hear a lot about this. Vincent, let's hear from you first. I would like to ask, what are the key challenges in large organizations have to face today in this energy transition?
Thank you for having me, and thanks for the questions there. If you take the big picture, what we see today with large organizations that both Capgemini and Schneider Electric serve is they are to face a dual transition. One, they keep on investing in their digital transformation, but they cannot do it without embedding the planet as a main stakeholder, if you like, and put its society at the forefront of every business and digital transformation. Why are they doing that? To your question, is for three reasons, in my view. Is one, it's no longer a nice to have to address the net zero and demonstrate that what they committed a few years back is really reality. So, number one, if they don't do anything that will impact their brand, that will impact their business, top line or bottom line, that can impact also their attractiveness as an employer, especially with the young generation. Number two, I think most of you have heard about the regulation. So Europe launched the CSRD couple of months ago. California is following. US, even if a bit slower, will implement same regulations. So CSRD will force large organizations to report on a lot of data, including their carbon reduction and net zero status. And three, there will never be such funding available in the market. Is it private funding or public subsidies? There is no more excuse not to do anything to tackle the energy transition. So if you take that into account, it's a fantastic opportunity for us to help those clients address their carbon emission reduction as a use case, starting with scope 1 and 2, which is probably where both Schneider and Capgemini can bring a lot of value.
Mm-hmm. All right. What about you, Fred? What do you see? What are the key challenges the large organizations have faced today?
So look, we're in a world, and I think it has been largely commented in this event, where the future will be more and more electric. So if you look at a corporation in the future, right, all the processes will become electric. So part of the challenge for the company into this sustainability journey will be to be able to look at what they consume, and a large part of that, what they will consume tomorrow will be electric stuff. Can be electric vehicle. By the way, today mobility is not electric. In 10 years, it will be electric. Of course, people will become prosumers. That means most of the building will have a part to producing. And the challenge is to make that happen. is to have things that happen without basically taking care. Because nobody will spend time on understanding how the chargers are working, how the solar panels are working, how the automatization of the building is working, basically. So we go into a world where people absolutely want and will need to electrify and use more electricity as the core source of their process. And if you look at a building, the electricity will become the core source of the process. But people don't necessarily want to take care about it. So what we'll see as an evolution is that people will rely much more on automatism and direct functionalities that come from the installation that can be aggregated and go to a higher level so that they understand exactly where they are and how they benefit to the planet with what they do.
So I wanted to back for Vincent. You were telling us the challenges that you have. How do you see these challenges impacting your organization?
That's a good question because I think I'm convinced that you can bring a lot of value to clients when we can tell stories. And most of the time, Capgemini behave as a client number 0, right? So we are a large organization. Maybe you don't know, but we are close to 400,000 employees with close to 180,000 employees in India. And our CEO set a very strong ambition to become net zero in a couple of years, right? So what we did, and facing the same challenges of our clients and partners, is we decided to work with Schneider to tackle those various challenges in India to start with, because you have the scale there. We have close to 30 campuses with, as I said, 180,000 employees, to see how technology with data and engineering can contribute to delivering a positive outcome in our net zero strategy. So that's where the conversation with Schneider started a couple of years ago. Even though we have had a long-lasting relationship, as you know, we are both French-born, Grenoble-born even companies. So, but we really decided to partner with the leader in that space in building management to see how we can leverage technology, add what Capgemini does best, which is integration, data, and engineering, to provide an integrated solution to help us reduce the energy consumption of our Indian operation.
Okay, so I would like to move to actually part 2, where we will talk about this actually solutions and how Capgemini started to work with Schneider. So you were saying us that Capgemini start working with Schneider Electric, even though they oppress their way already. So how do you see that these challenges lead you to work with Schneider Electric as Capgemini? If you want to give us more details on that.
No, I will, of course. So number one, we are already, we had an existing relationship, so it's always help to start a new conversation on this strategic initiative. Number two, we run a very diligent analysis of the market, and our assessment is that Schneider brought the best solution to helping us addressing those very needs of energy optimization and leveraging eco-structures that Frederic will detail in more later was really the building blocks and the technology we needed between hardware and software. Then we spent a lot of time with our engineering team to understand your product and to see how Capgemini are leveraging AI, machine learning, and our strong capability on data could add additional value to your technology and offerings. And then, as I said, we started rolling it out across our 26, 30 campuses across India, which now 2 years ago, we are very proud of the benefits.
I am very curious, actually, for the project that you highlighted. So Fred will tell us more details about it. I hope you're also curious, because I wonder how are the opportunities Schneider has for Capgemini? What are the solutions we have for them?
So what are the solutions? Most of them are displayed as we speak, right? They are displayed somewhere in the room. We have solutions, of course, of what we call eco-structure, which is for a building to control the building and the power of the building. So that's what we provide as a native layer, right, which is the IoT layer. We go up to the edge layer where you consolidate a set of data. And that's where the partnership with Cap has been good, is that, of course, in all building or all industry, you have other sources of consumption that are not supported by EcoStruxure, and that's where CAP has come into the play to make a full solution that will be displayed. On top of this EcoStruxure layer, what we have provided in India to Capgemini is a service support with our services bureau, what we have presented yesterday called EcoCare, and it was before we really branded it as EcoCare, but we supported the site with our teams, our service bureaus that are looking at what happened on site, and then that can connect directly with a team of CAP in India and help them to improve the performance of their building. So I see it as a really complementary win. And by the way, the team of CAP, you said it, Vincent, with the capability of managing data, taking everything end-to-end, integrating things, has helped us as well to accelerate in this journey. So at the end, we deliver a good result. Peter said it yesterday. If we want to transform the world, we cannot do it alone, right? Well, we need to do it together.
I agree with that. Super. So I'm curious actually about how much you would imagine in your mind. Let's visualize that and let's have a look for the video. And if you don't hear any sound, there will be a subtitle for you. So let's have a look.
In a word, teaching everything. She was on it, what now they got in. People on this straight over there moments. And it's when contact got it up, I thought about calling. Really, but you see, and I put on some big band and it was episode. Eating somewhere. Even in Bitcoin. Giving them straight up there and so they get their healing. You so they did a solving. And I tell you, second day, so they didn't. In the state of it. Then I presume it was. Firstly, something what to be how about that? Did me out that you just is. Don't hating you with things. When you hear that it's been reassumed.
Okay, let's have a sit again. Thank you very much for watching. Well, that looks incredible to me, Vincent, I should mention. I hope you like it as well. We call that Energy Command Center, right? So I want to deep dive here more because maybe the video was visualizing, but maybe not giving lots of details, right? So let's have a bit of a deep dive there. And what are the metrics, if you have any data points to tell us how this Energy Command Center helped Capgemini?
So we define, and what was shown in the video is more the optimization part. So we have 3 KPIs, and I can share some data of the benefits that we've seen for the last couple of years. So it's, of course, everything starts with the cost. So thanks to this solution, we are able to reduce our energy consumption cost by 30% in 3 years. Directly attached to cost, there is the CO2 avoidance, if I may. So we were able to save the equivalent of close to 20,000 tons or 25 gigawatt hour of carbon thanks to that solution, because we can optimize in an automated way a lot of those energy flow and electricity consumption from various, as Fred explained, buildings and equipments. And last but not least, which is also what we look, we are able, thanks to automating the scripts, to extend the duration, the life of those equipments, to have also a better grip on the predictability, so predictive maintenance, to avoid outages, to ensure that as we run a 24/7 operation for our clients, that our buildings were up and running anytime our employee were at the office. The added feature we embedded and as we learned along the way was also to, connect and use that IoT and connected product technology to automatically also monitor the meeting room, for example, without impacting the well-being of our employees. So if there is nobody in the meeting room, you don't need to switch the light on. You don't need to put the AC on. Heating is not so much an issue in India. But since we are now rolling out that solution globally, we'll adapt that to the local weather and context. And last but not least, which is I think the breakthrough and the value also the Schneider partnership bring to us is extending what the Schneider solution bring to us to and supporting our net zero transition. For example, rolling out ECC was also supported by a huge investment into a solar panel. Obviously, again, thanks to the Indian weather, it's quite the benefits is quite nice. And we are able to automatically switch the energy sourcing based on the time of the day, if it's daytime or nighttime. We can store energy in our battery, which are also monitored with Schneider electric technology. And sometimes you can even resell some energy to the grid in India. So all those use cases bring a lot of value, not only, again, from a cost and consumption perspective, but also from a society angle.
Super. I heard a lot about this sustainability journey in Capgemini with the Energy Command Center. Maybe if I may ask, if you want to add a few more notes, how this project supports your organization's sustainability journey, if you want to add a few more details.
So, as I said before, what the value we bring as an engineering and technology and data organization is to help clients along the end-to-end journey on sustainability. So ECC is quite aligned for every step. We start with strategy, so helping clients define with Schneider as a partner again, but defining their energy strategy, assessing where they spend, where they can reduce their energy consumption across their building. We have worked a lot on the strategy piece on assessing the various personas, if you will. You don't manage a factory the same way as a facility or a retail store, for example, so that's part of the strategy. The big value that we bring is indeed the transformation, so how to help them transform the way they consume electricity, how to embed and cope with the new use cases. Frederic mentioned EVs. Many large organizations move very fast to the EV fleet for their employees. And last but not least, since everything is based on a huge volume of data, is how to leverage that data to fuel the CSRD or ESG reporting of those clients. Because energy is, and scope 2 mainly, is part of what they need to report down the road. So I think ECC, based on the maturity and where the client stays on their journey, can be a kind of a plug and play, and we can be aligned or flexible to addressing the very specific topic of the client based on where they stand on their journey.
Thanks for sharing. So I will take us through the part 3, where we will talk about why it is important, this partnership between the Capgemini and Schneider Electric. So I would like to take us there, why this is important for between these two companies. Fred, let's start with you. Why this partnership is important? I'm sure this crowd is wondering why it's important for you.
Two things. And Vincent, you said it, is two global companies, means that can operate everywhere for global customers. Okay, local and global customers. But as we speak, and the examples that we have demonstrated with Cap in India, is that large companies have multi-sites to manage, right? So being able to operate in multi-countries is important. The second thing is that I think we share the same goal, which is to decarbonize building, to help them to transform. The third thing is a lot of data, is a lot of digital, and the more staff arrive on this energy stream, the more there is need to integrate. And that's where I believe that the two companies are complementing each other. We have a set of solutions that are basically pretty adapted and tailored for applications, but each building is different, each factory is different. You end up having a special part of one process somewhere that at the end you need to integrate. So why it does make sense is that it's really joining forces to be able to support customers that are large customers, that are multi-site, that have problems of integration. The second thing that matters is that the two companies are here on the long run, both Schneider and both Capgemini. They say, this is companies that are here and are here to stay. What the customer wants more and more is not the impact of the D-Day. Is to manage those data over the time, right? Is to be able, as you said, Vincent, to put these data in report year after year, look at those data and they want partners on the long run. And I believe the two companies have demonstrated that they are here for the long run. So that's why I think it's making sense.
Great. And what about you, Vincent? What is your perspective in this partnership?
So fully aligned with Fred on the value we bring. I will add two additional points. One, and it was said before, we are convinced, and both organizations are convinced, that we cannot solve the planet challenges alone, right? So the value of ecosystem is critical. And clients are not experts of energy management or data integration or machine learning or Gen AI. I make a bet to mention at least once Gen AI today. So they expect people like us to bring off-the-shelf solution that can be easily implemented in their landscape, right? That's what we can provide. So again, very modular approach. We can implement on-prem solution, cloud-based solution, and we can even deliver the Energy Command Center as a service. Assuming that some clients and some industries, they don't want to invest into energy skill set and capabilities internally. So we have that ability with our global footprint, our decades of experience delivering outsourcing services to do that as a service, and even sometimes ready to have conversation on clients to commit on outcome. That could be a cost reduction or a carbon reduction. So again, that's where we need to go. What are the sustainability outcomes that client can get funds through that partnership? And last but not least, yes, we are global. We are experts in our fields, but I think we need to be proud. We are the leader in that space as well. So we should keep on staying that leader. And thanks to the innovation and investment into joint solution, I think we'll lead the way in the market.
Super. I wonder if any of you also wonder why it is important. Let's give us a bit of answers. Why this code needs to get benefit from there? What is the value for people in front of us today? Why it is important, this partnership for them? Let's start with you, Fred. What do you see?
Why it is important? First, and I come back to what Vincent was saying at the beginning. It's going into the future, right? So for anybody that operates an operation today, without being able in the future to consolidate data and to manage data around energy, I think this will become a big problem. So why is it important is that somehow it prepares company to go into the future. Second, this is important because when you do things with, as you say, some companies that are leading this approach, you're probably more future ready than if you do that with companies who are less leader in their domain. So here, you're really orientating towards the future. The last point is that nobody knows in 5 years what will come into this play. But the more you have prepared, structured your data, structured your processes, the more you will be able to a minimal extra cost to be able to implement additional things that will be asked to company. So that's why I think it's important for the consumers.
What about you, Vincent? What do you think?
I will add that because I think the ability to have a centralization of the data, the various insights to track against your net zero strategy is critical. We have been discussing a lot about electricity and energy management, which is, I think a very nice use case to deliver quick wins for clients. And again, focusing on scope 2. And they will need to report their scope 1, 2, 3 anyway. So that's part of the huge benefit because buildings are probably 80% of the scope 2 today emissions. But I think we are also helping bring more innovation. Fred said it. Today it's electricity. We'll probably see a lot of innovation impacting the way we deliver services today in the next year to come. We are already testing how to have a integrating approach, like cockpit type approach to add additional use case outside of electricity with water management, using again the same approach with connected products, IoT sensors, biodiversity will come next, waste management.
Yeah, of course. Because
all those use cases will somehow need to be reported at some point with the regulation being what it is. And Europe creates regulation and US copy them. So we need to have, again, as global companies, this ability to support those clients in their net zero strategy as well as enabling that reporting challenges that they face today.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much for your sharing. I would like us to go for a Q&A. And please let us know if you have a question. So we would like to answer you on the stage today. Anyone wants to ask any question?
Well, we need to take for.
And let's put our headsets for that.
Into it.
Of 80 server then down to the
Please don't be shy. If you have any questions, since we have time, I encourage you to ask. Otherwise, I would take as a complimentary that was all clear. Or we have a
any
question.
specific industry or applications or that you have in mind?
I know you know the answer to this question, but so what we did is we had designed a very clear go-to-market approach with Schneider, and we decided to start with buildings, office buildings, because we believe that there is less impact with the core business, with manufacturing factories more complex, office buildings, and where you see industry-wise, when you have most of the office buildings, is hospitality and including hotels and financial services with banks. And we have seen, because we started the joint approach with Schneider a couple of months ago, the way large banks in the retail banking world, more specifically, welcome our approach is amazing. So now it takes time because those guys have multiple branches, so we need to align several stakeholders within the organization, but they can feel and see the benefit in the coming months or years. And what I'm just said on banks is valid across in Europe, UK, and in the US. So number one, banks is quality. The second sector and industry we are targeting is retail, starting mainly in Europe, but retail with multiple stores, with a huge energy exposure, with a fridge, refrigerators, the AC in their stores, with all the food supply chain, have already seen benefit of applying this kind of ECC solution to their own stores. So again, we have a couple of conversations with that couple of retailers. We've just won a deal with that solution in Brazil, with one of the leading retailer in Brazil. We have some active conversation in Europe, so hopefully more to come on that space. And the third, of course, use case, which is cross-industry, is data centers. So, which is not office buildings per se, but clients who still operate their data center see also as a huge benefit, not only in terms of energy optimization, but also in terms of, ensuring the business continuity while supporting them in their energy transition. So that would be my take as we speak. The next challenge for us is to go meet those new gigafactories who are huge energy consumer, as you know. So I think the list is infinite, but let's work and learn along the way and bring more value to specific industries later.
And to complement what you say, I think it makes a lot of sense where there is multiple locations or sites to aggregate, right? Which has been something we were struggling with at Schneider, right? We had here and there some wins, but they were on one site, and why not the site? And here we present something that is more comprehensive, that can be really a discussion with somebody that want to integrate multiple locations, on which he'll get the support on the fact that we are diffuse, but on the fact that we can centralize and aggregate. So I think makes a lot of sense in the segment you mentioned.
Thanks for the question and thanks for the replies. Any other question? All right. Then, if we don't have question, again, I take as a compliment. It was clear where we stand and how we shared. Thanks very much for joining the session. Thanks very much for sharing.
Pleasure.
I invite you to visit our services booths in the data center, but also in the grid and infrastructure booths. And I highly recommend you to visit our websites for Capgemini and also Schneider Electric. Thanks again for joining. Have a great hub session.